Hello again, Lockpicking Paul here, and what I've got tonight are a pair of Pachislo Japanese slot machine locks. And these are pretty cool, and you don't see them very often, and you certainly don't see them getting picked very often. So these are pretty much only found in Japan, I believe, on those Pachislo machines in the sort of Pachislo pachinko parlors. And these come in various different forms. There are dimple versions, slider versions, pin tumbler versions, all sorts. And this slightly goofy looking arrangement here, which is, these are slider, it's actually a slider lock. But you can see they're an interesting sort of pyramid pin arrangement, which makes getting a pick on top of there and staying on top of there slightly challenging. But we'll come to that in a minute. These have a really interesting key. Let's show you this goofy key. This is my lock, by the way. This was from a machine that was decommissioned. It's actually from a Sankyo Star Wars machine. So this has different bitting to this key, because this key, which is on loan from Nigby, and thank you very much, mate, for lending me this, because he's got a nice pristine key with his. This is a factory one, and they all, from the factory, they all have the same bitting. They have this arrangement. You've got like 4 major sliders and 4 minor sliders, if you like. And there's also an opposing slider opposite to the pins. So up here in this top left-hand corner is a slider that goes in that direction. And then you've got 4 sliders that go down in this direction. These are user rekeyable. So what happens is you would buy a new lock like this one. You would put your factory key in it like so. And it only turns that far if it's not going to be rekeyed. But if you want to rekey it, you hold down or hold up this button here, and you can turn a lock 180 degrees. Then you can take the key out, put your new key in, and it's rekeyed. Very similar to Quickset Smart Key in its operation. That's all there is to it in terms of the actual key mechanism. Pretty straightforward. So what makes these challenging? Well, there are 8 sliders and an opposing slider. Those first 8 sliders have false gates either side of the true gate. So you're dealing with potentially up to 16 false gates, and they grip. They really, really grip. And as you'll see from the picking video, which I've already recorded, it really takes some force, and I wasn't putting much tension on the lock, but it really takes some force to get out of a false gate. And you can be there for a little while before you realize what is going on, because the lock really doesn't give any movement. Picking these is a bit challenging too. Like I said, it's a little difficult to stay on top of the pins on the point, but that's actually a good place to test each slider with. But I find if you pick on the shoulder of each one of those pyramids, sort of down the right hand or down the left hand side, it's easier to set the slider. And they normally set with quite a positive click, but then everything goes dead as you end up in the false gates, and you've got to sort of push everything out of the false gates. So what is up now is the picking video of this cool little lock, and we won't be doing a gutting because I can't get these apart without destroying them, and I really don't want to do that because they don't come up very often. But there is a good video by Nothing. He did it a number of years ago. I'll put a link to that in the description, and he takes his apart. His pick goes quite differently to mine, and the feedback he gets from the lock is again quite different. His produces false sets. This one does not do that. But otherwise, it's a pretty similar lock. Okay, so picking video up now. See you in a moment. Right, let's see if we can get this tricky thing open. Pick on the shoulders of the sliders. When everything goes dead, I'll test the opposing slider. Nothing did a good video on these. He did a pick and a gut. I can't do a gut of this because it's sealed, but I'll put a link to his video. He when he set his opposing slider very early on, mine doesn't bind, not initially anyway. And when he did, he got a deep false set. But this lock doesn't behave in that way. It doesn't produce a false set at all at any point until, it just opens. But that can be a bit of a drawn out process. Feedback's pretty poor. All the pins have gone dead, so all the sliders rather. I'm going to give that opposing slider a tug, see if it moves. Yeah, I think that's set. That slide up feels dead. I wonder if that's in a false. That was definitely in a false gate. I think we're out of it. I'm just going to check that opposing slider again. Make sure we didn't drop anything. I think it's set. Check again. That's definitely set. Right, now it's just a case of war of attrition, see if I can get this thing open. And there we go. Oh, it's a bit of a battle, that. But it's open. It was stuck in a false gate, I think on slider 5, and just bounced it and it slipped through. There you go. That is a pretty tough old lock to open. So yeah, the Omlock Pachislo lock. If I can get my tensioner out of it. There you go. Picked. And yeah, really glad to get that on camera. Right. Cheers.